The stars were quiet that night. Captain stood on the bridge of the UENS Defiance and looked at the endless black space through the main window. His ship was small. It was just a patrol frigate with a crew of 200. They were far from Earth, far from anyone who might help them if trouble came. "Captain, I am picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Sara from her station. She was the ship's tactician, a woman who could read sensor data like other people read books. Her voice was calm, but had served with her for 3 years. He knew when something worried her. He walked to her station. "Show me." The screen displayed a weak signal. It was coming from a region of space that was not on any map. The signal was a distress call, but it was in a language the computer did not recognize. "How far?" asked. 4 hours at full speed. But Captain, this area is outside our patrol zone. If we go there, we will be breaking our orders. Thought about this. Orders were important, but so were people who needed help. He had joined the fleet to protect others, not to follow rules that might let someone die. "Change course," he said. "We are going to find out who is calling for help." The Defiance turned and flew into the unknown darkness. 4 hours later, they found something that made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. There were ships everywhere. Not 10 ships, not 50 ships. More than 200 ships of all sizes filled the space in front of them. Most of them were damaged. Some had holes in their sides. Others were dark, with no power at all. "They are not attacking," Sora reported. "I do not think they can attack. These ships are barely able to fly." Dr. Minu, the ship's expert on alien life, came to the bridge. He was a thin man with kind eyes and a mind that never stopped asking questions. "Captain, I am receiving a communication request from the largest ship. They want to talk." "Put it through," said. The screen changed to show a face that was not human. The creature had gray skin that looked like old paper. Its eyes were large and golden, filled with a sadness so deep that felt it in his chest. The alien was old, very old. "I am Elder," the creature said. Its voice was tired but gentle. We mean you no harm. We have no weapons. We have nothing left but our lives, and even those are fading. Please. We only ask that you do not tell the Dominion where we are." Had heard of the Dominion. Everyone had. They were one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of star systems and had a fleet that could destroy planets. "Why is the Dominion hunting you?" asked. Elder closed his golden eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, there were tears. "Because 300 years ago, we said no to them." The story that Elder told was one of the saddest things had ever heard. There were once a great civilization. They were not warriors. They were healers and scientists. They had learned the secrets of biology. They could cure diseases that killed millions. They could heal wounds that no other species could heal. Their knowledge was their treasure, and they shared it freely with anyone who asked. Then the Dominion came. They did not want healing. They wanted weapons. They asked to create terrible sicknesses that could destroy entire planets, biological weapons that would kill billions. They refused. This made the Dominion very angry. They declared the enemies of their empire, but they did not attack right away. That would have made them look bad. Instead, they did something worse. They told every species in the galaxy that anyone who helped them would also become an enemy of the Dominion. One by one, these friends abandoned them. Some species wanted to help but were too afraid. Others looked away and pretended they did not exist. A few fought for thee and were destroyed for their courage. For 300 years they ran. Every time they found a safe place, the Dominion found them too. Every time another species offered help, the Dominion threatened that species until they changed their mind. The Galactic Council, the organization that was supposed to protect everyone, officially declared the non-protected entities. This meant that no one had to help them. No one had to care if they lived or died. "Once we were millions," Elder said. "Now we are fewer than 50,000. These ships carry everyone who is left. We have been running for so long, we have nowhere to go, no one will take us. I am not asking you to fight for us, human. I only ask that you let us pass in peace. Felt something burning in his chest. It was anger. It was also something else. It was the feeling he got when he saw something wrong and knew he had to make it right. Dr. Minu, he said, take a shuttle to Elder's ship. Learn everything you can about the Sora, contact Earth Command. Tell them what we found. Captain, Sora said carefully, what do you want me to tell them? Looked at the screen, at the tired face of Elder, at the damaged ships full of people who had done nothing wrong except refuse to create weapons of death. Tell them we found 50,000 refugees who need help. Tell them I am escorting the convoy toward human space. And tell them I am requesting permission to grant them protection. Sora's eyes went wide. Captain, the Dominion will not like that. I know. This could start a war. I know that too. There was silence on the bridge. Every crew member was looking at their captain. They all knew what this decision could mean. They were a small ship. They were far from home. If the Dominion came, they would not survive. But none of them asked to change his mind. Dr. Minu took a shuttle to the flagship. For hours, he walked through their ship and talked to their people. What he found amazed him. They had cures for diseases that killed millions of humans every year. They had medical knowledge that was centuries ahead of anything humanity possessed. But they were gentle people. They refused to hurt anyone, even to save themselves. Minu met families with children. He met old teachers who had spent their lives helping others. He met young who had never known a home, who had been born on running ships and had never walked on a planet. One of them was a small girl named. She was only 8 years old in human years. Her eyes were golden like all, but they still had hope in them. She showed Minu a small crystal. This is she said. I have never seen it. It was destroyed before I was born, but this crystal has a recording of what it looked like. Minu watched the recording. It showed a beautiful planet with purple forests and silver oceans. It showed cities of white stone where they lived in peace. It showed everything that the Dominion had taken from them. When the recording ended, Minu looked at the small girl who had never seen her home. He thought about his own daughter back on Earth. He thought about what he would want someone to do if his family needed help. He returned to the Defiance with his report. He told Captain everything he had learned. They are good people, Captain, Minu said. They have done nothing wrong, and they have so much to offer the galaxy if someone just gives them a chance to live. Nodded slowly. He had already made his decision, but now he was even more certain. We stay with them, he said, no matter what comes. The words were simple, but they would change the history of the galaxy forever. On Earth, in a building that touched the clouds, Admiral read Captain's message for the 3rd time. Each time he read it, his heart grew heavier. He was an old man who had fought in many battles. He knew what war looked like. He knew what it cost. He also knew what was right. The problem was that doing the right thing and doing the smart thing were not always the same. The Dominion controls 40% of our trade routes, said the political advisor sitting across from him. If we make them angry, they could destroy our economy without firing a single shot. I am aware, said quietly. Then you understand why we cannot get involved. These are not our problem. They have been running for 300 years. Someone else can help them. Who asked? Who will help them? The Galactic Council already said they do not care. Every other species is too afraid. Who is left? The advisor had no answer. Stood and walked to the window. Below him, the city was alive with lights and movement. Millions of people going about their lives. They had jobs and families and dreams. None of them knew that far away in space, 50,000 people were waiting to find out if they would live or die. I need time, said. Tell Captain to hold position. I will contact him when we have made a decision. The message traveled across the stars. It reached the Defiance 6 hours later. When read it, he understood what it really meant. Earth was not going to decide quickly. Earth might not decide at all. He was alone out here with one small ship and 200 crew members. Whatever happened next was up to him. Meanwhile, Dr. Minu spent more time with the. Every hour, he learned something new that amazed him. They had a cure for the red fever, a disease that killed thousands of human children every year. They had treatments for cancers that human doctors could not touch. They knew how to heal damaged nerves, how to regrow lost limbs, how to extend life by decades. But they never sold this knowledge. They never used it to gain power. When someone was sick, they healed them. It did not matter if that person was rich or poor, friend or stranger. To them, all life was precious. "How can the galaxy ignore you?" Minu asked Elder one evening. "You have given so much to so many species. How can they just watch you die?" Elder smiled sadly. "Fear is a powerful thing, Doctor. When people are afraid, they forget kindness. They forget duty. They only remember what they might lose." He paused. "I do not blame them. I only wish things were different." On the Defiance, Sargent was dealing with a different kind of feeling. She was the leader of the Marine team, 40 soldiers who were trained to fight and die for their ship. She was hard and tough and did not trust strangers easily, but had somehow gotten past all her defenses. The little girl had started following around whenever the sergeant visited their ship. At first, found it annoying. She had work to do. She did not have time for children. Then showed her the crystal. They sat in a quiet corner of the ship and played the recording of her, watched the purple forests and the silver oceans. She saw the white cities and the peaceful people walking through gardens full of strange flowers. "It looks beautiful," said. "My mother said it was the most beautiful place in the universe." His voice was small. "She died 2 years ago. A sickness took her. We did not have the right medicine on the ship." Felt something crack inside her chest. She thought of her own mother, who was safe on Earth, who could call a doctor whenever she needed one. She thought of all the things she took for granted. "I am sorry," she said. "It was not enough. Words were never enough, but it was all she had." Looked up at her with those golden eyes. "Your captain said he would help us. Do you think he means it?" Thought about, she had served under him for 5 years. She knew him better than she knew most of her own family. He was not a man who made empty promises. When he said something, he meant it. "Yes," she said, "he means it." "But why? You do not know us. We cannot give you anything. Why would you risk your lives for strangers?" Did not have a good answer. She only knew that some things were right and some things were wrong, and leaving these people to die felt wrong in a way she could not explain. "Because that is who we are," she finally said. "Humans are strange like that." 6 hours passed, then 6 more. The convoy drifted slowly through space while the Defiance kept watch. Everyone was waiting for something to happen. Everyone knew it would be something bad. It came in the form of a message. "Captain," Sora said, her voice tight with tension, "we are receiving a communication. It is from the Dominion." Stomach turned cold. Put it through. The screen filled with a face that looked like it was carved from stone. The creature was massive, with red eyes and gray skin covered in scars. He wore armor that was decorated with symbols of death. "I am Warlord," the creature said. "I command the Dominion fleet in this sector. You have something that belongs to us." "They do not belong to anyone," replied. "They are free people." Laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Free. They are criminals. They the Dominion 300 years ago, and they have been running from justice ever since. But their running ends today." His red eyes narrowed. "I am giving you a choice, human. Surrender and you may leave in peace. Refuse and your little ship will burn with them." "How long do I have to decide?" 6 hours. After that my fleet arrives and we take them by force." Leaned closer to the screen. "Do not be foolish, human. Your species is young and weak. You cannot afford to make enemies of the Dominion. Walk away while you still can." The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one on the bridge spoke. They all understood what had just happened. In 6 hours, a Dominion fleet would arrive. The Defiance was one ship. They had no chance in a direct fight. Contacted Admiral. He explained the situation and asked for orders. The Admiral's response was careful and political. "The situation is complicated, Captain. We are still discussing our options. Hold your position. Do not engage the enemy. I will contact you when we have made a decision." Understood what those words really meant. Earth was not coming. He was on his own. He closed the communication and turned to face his crew. They were all looking at him. He saw fear in some faces. He saw determination in others, but no one was running. No one was asking to leave. "You all heard the message," said. "In 6 hours the Dominion will be here. They have more ships than we can count. If we stay, we will probably die." He paused to let those words sink in. "I am not going to order you to die for strangers. That is not my right. If anyone wants to leave, take the shuttles. I will not think less of you. I will tell no one. You have families waiting for you back home. You have lives that matter. No one will blame you for wanting to live." The bridge was silent. No one moved. Lieutenant Sora spoke first. "Captain, where would we go? If we leave these people to die, I do not think I could live with myself." Sergeant nodded. "There is a little girl on that ship who has never seen her. She asked me if you meant it when you said you would help. I told her yes. I am not going to make myself a liar." One by one, every crew member spoke. Some said only a few words. Others said nothing at all but simply stood, ready for whatever came next. No one left. Felt something warm in his chest, pride, love. He was honored to serve with these people. "Then we stand," he said. "We stand and we fight, and we show the galaxy what humanity is made of." 6 hours began to count down. The Defiance prepared for battle. And in the darkness of space, a Dominion fleet moved closer with every passing minute. The universe was about to learn that humans did not abandon their friends. The 6 hours ended. The Dominion came. Lieutenant Sora counted the enemy ships as they appeared on her screen. 10, 20, 30. When she reached 40, she stopped counting. The numbers did not matter anymore. One ship against 40 was not a battle. It was a death sentence. But no one on the Defiance was ready to die without a fight. "Captain," Sora said, "I have been thinking about our strategy. We cannot win, but maybe we can survive long enough to matter." Looked at her, explain. "The Dominion is confident. They think we will surrender or run. They will not expect us to fight back. If we use the asteroid field to our west, we can make ourselves difficult to hit. Our ship is smaller and faster than theirs. We can hide, we can strike, we can run away before they catch us." "For how long?" Sora hesitated. "I do not know. Hours, maybe, maybe less. But every minute we buy is another minute for the to run." It was not a plan that would lead to victory, but it was something. It was hope. "Do it," said. "All hands to battle stations. We are going to make the Dominion work for every inch of space." The Defiance moved. It flew into the asteroid field like a fish hiding in coral. The great rocks floated all around them, some as small as houses and others as large as mountains. It was dangerous territory. One wrong move could crush their ship against stone. But it was also perfect for hiding. Warlord watched the human ship disappear into the asteroids. He felt annoyance but not worry. What could one small frigate do against his fleet? This would be over soon. "Send 5 ships to flush them out," he ordered. "Kill them quickly. I want them by morning." 5 Dominion warships entered the asteroid field. They were big and powerful, armed with weapons that could turn mountains to dust. Against them, the Defiance looked like a toy. But toys sometimes bite. Sora had spent hours studying Dominion ship designs. She knew their weaknesses. Their sensors worked poorly in dense asteroid fields. Their big ships could not turn quickly. Their crews were overconfident from centuries of easy victories. "Fire," she said. The Defiance shot out from behind an asteroid. Its missiles flew at the nearest Dominion ship. The enemy vessel tried to dodge, but it was too slow. The missiles hit its engines and left it drifting, helpless. Before the other ships could respond, the Defiance vanished back into the rocks. Felt real anger for the first time. One ship, one pathetic human ship, had just disabled one of his warships. He ordered 20 more ships into the asteroid field. The battle became a nightmare of stone and fire. The Defiance flew through spaces that should have been too narrow. It used the asteroids as shields and launched attacks from unexpected angles. Sora called out orders in a voice that never shook, guiding the ship through impossible turns. Stood at the center of it all, calm and focused, making decisions that kept his crew alive. But they were still just one ship. An explosion rocked the Defiance. A Dominion shot had made it through. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. "Hull breach on deck 4, someone shouted. "We have fires spreading." "Seal the breach," ordered. "Keep fighting." Another hit, then another. The Defiance shook like a leaf in a storm, but it kept flying, it kept shooting back. In the medical bay, Dr. Minu worked alongside healers to save wounded crew members. Elder himself had come aboard to help. His old hands moved with surprising skill as he treated burns and sealed wounds. "You should not be here," Minu said to him. "Your people need you." "My people are safe for now because of your crew," Elder replied. "The least I can do is help save those who are saving us." Outside, the battle raged on. Sergeant led her Marines against Dominion boarding parties. The enemy had sent soldiers to capture the ship from inside. They were big and strong and covered in armor, but people were fighting for something more than victory. They were fighting for the right to call themselves human. "Hold the line," screamed as another wave of enemies poured through a breach in the hull. Her rifle fired again and again. Beside her, her soldiers fought with everything they had. Hours passed. The Defiance took more and more damage. Engines failed. Weapons ran out of ammunition. The hull was torn open in dozens of places. Crew members died. Others were badly hurt. The ship was dying slowly, fighting to the very end. But something strange was happening across the galaxy. Other species were watching. The battle was being broadcast on communication networks throughout known space. A minor human vessel, with nothing to gain and everything to lose, was throwing itself against the Dominion to protect refugees that no one else would help. Species that had ignored them for centuries watched in amazement. Some felt shame. Others felt something they had not felt in a long time: hope. Captain did not know that the galaxy was watching. He only knew that his ship was dying and his people were fighting. He decided to send one final message, not to the Dominion, not to Earth, to everyone. "This is Captain of the UENS Defiance," he said into the communication system. His voice was tired but steady. "We are one ship. We have been fighting for 7 hours against a fleet of 40 warships. We are almost finished. But before we fall, I want the galaxy to know something." He paused to gather his thoughts. They did nothing wrong. 300 years ago, they refused to create weapons that would kill billions. For that crime, they have been hunted and abandoned by everyone who should have protected them. Today, we stand with them, not because we are strong, not because we expect to win. We stand because it is right. His voice grew stronger. "We are humanity. We do not abandon those who cannot fight for themselves. We do not look away when innocents suffer. If this is where we die, then let the universe remember. Let it remember that someone stood for the when no one else would. Let it remember what humanity is made of." The message ended. The battle continued. The Defiance was barely moving now. Its engines were broken. Most of its weapons were destroyed. Fires burned on every deck, but the flag of Earth still flew from its communications array. The crew still fought on. Warlord had stopped laughing. He had expected this to be over in minutes. Instead, this tiny ship had held his fleet for 7 hours. 7 hours. He had lost 3 ships completely and had 6 more badly damaged, all because of one human frigate and its stubborn crew. "Enough," he growled. "All ships concentrate fire, destroy them." The Dominion fleet turned its full attention to the crippled Defiance. Dozens of weapons locked onto the dying ship. In seconds, it would be vaporized. Then something appeared on every sensor screen. "Ships, human ships, a lot of human ships." Admiral's voice filled the communication channels. "Dominion fleet, this is the United Earth Third Fleet. We have 32 warships, and we are carrying enough firepower to turn your bones to ash. Stand down immediately or face the consequences." Looked at the screen. He saw the familiar shapes of Earth warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. He saw the flag of Earth on their hulls. He saw home. "Admiral," he said, his voice cracking, "you came." "Did you think we would let you have all the fun?" Captain replied. "Earth has made its decision. They are under our protection now. Anyone who threatens them threatens us." On the ships, people wept with joy. Elder fell to his knees and covered his face with his hands. After 300 years of running, someone had finally come to stand beside them. Found Sergeant in the ruined corridors of the Defiance. The Marine was bleeding from a wound on her arm, but she was alive. She was smiling. "You kept your promise," said. Looked at the little girl with the golden eyes. She thought about everything they had lost today. She thought about the crew members who had died. She thought about the scars that would never heal. But they had won, not just the battle. They had won something more important. They had proven that humanity would not abandon those who needed help. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to stand for something. "Yes," said, "we did." Outside, Warlord stared at the human fleet. He had enough ships to win this fight, probably, but it would cost him dearly. And now the whole galaxy was watching. If he attacked and lost, the Dominion would look weak. If he attacked and won but took heavy losses, other species might start thinking the Dominion was not as powerful as they feared. With rage burning in his heart, he gave the order to retreat. The Dominion fleet turned and flew away into the darkness. The battle was over. Humanity had held its ground. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. A single human ship had held off 40 Dominion warships for 7 hours. Humanity had declared protection over the forgotten species that no one else would save. The Dominion, the empire that made entire civilizations tremble, had retreated without achieving their goal. Everything was about to change. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the Dominion fleet disappear into the distance. He felt tired but also proud. Proud of his species. Proud of Captain. Proud of the crew of the Defiance, many of whom had given their lives today. "Send medical ships to the Defiance," he ordered, "and begin escorting the convoy toward human space. We are taking them home." "Home, sir?" his aide asked. "Who's home?" Smiled. "Ours." The journey to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, the galaxy buzzed with conversation. On every space station, on every inhabited planet, people talked about what humanity had done. Some admired it. Others thought it was foolish. But everyone paid attention. The Galactic Council sent an angry message to Earth. They warned that humanity was disrupting centuries of political balance. They said that protecting them would bring terrible consequences. They demanded that Earth reconsider its position. The human ambassador to the Galactic Council was a woman named. She was small in size but fierce in spirit. She had spent 20 years representing humanity among the stars, and she had learned one important thing. The Council respected strength, not words. When she received the Council's message, she requested permission to address their assembly. They granted it, expecting her to apologize or explain. They were wrong. Stood before the Council, surrounded by representatives of 100 different species. She looked at their alien faces and saw fear dressed up as wisdom. She saw selfishness disguised as diplomacy. She saw everything that was wrong with the galaxy. "You ask why humanity has done this thing," she began. "You ask why we risk war for 50,000 refugees. You warn us of consequences. Let me give you an answer." She paused to let silence fill the chamber. 300 years ago, they refused to create weapons of genocide. For this crime, they were hunted to near extinction. One by one, their allies abandoned them because they were afraid. And you, this great council that claims to protect all species, declared them non-protected entities. You threw them away like garbage because helping them was too hard. Her voice grew harder. "We did not join this council to learn how to abandon the helpless. We did not travel across the stars to become cowards. They are good people. They have healed millions. They have asked for nothing except the chance to live in peace. And when no one else would help them, humanity did." She looked directly at the Dominion representative, who glared at her with red eyes full of hatred. "If the Dominion wants war, let them come. We will be waiting. But we will not surrender innocent people to murderers just because you tell us it is easier that way." She turned back to the full council. "Perhaps it is time for this galaxy to learn something new. Perhaps it is time to remember that there are some things more important than trade routes and political balance. Perhaps you should learn from us instead of trying to teach us fear." She walked out of the chamber without waiting for a response. Behind her, the council erupted in chaos, but her words had been heard. All across the galaxy, people repeated what she had said. "Perhaps you should learn from us." Meanwhile, on Earth, the Parliament debated what to do with they needed a home, somewhere safe, somewhere they could rebuild their civilization. Many countries offered land. Many cities offered welcome. But in the end, it was Korea that made the offer that mattered most. "We will give them new," the Korean representative said. "A region on our colony world with purple forests and silver lakes. We will call it Haven, and we will help them build a new home." They could not believe it. After 3 centuries of running, someone was giving them a place to stay, not temporarily, not with conditions, a real home. Elder traveled to Earth to speak before the Parliament. He walked slowly, supported by 2 younger. He was very old now and his body was failing, but his voice was still strong. "I have lived for 400 years, he said. "For 300 of those years I watched my people suffer. I watched our friends turn away. I watched our children grow up never knowing what it felt like to be safe. I forgot what hope looked like." He looked at the human faces around him. "Then your people came. One small ship. One crew that refused to walk away. They fought for us when they had nothing to gain and everything to lose. They taught us something we had forgotten. They taught us that goodness still exists in this universe." Tears rolled down his gray face. "I do not have words big enough to thank you. I can only promise that they will never forget what humanity did. For as long as our species exists, we will remember that you stood for us when no one else would." The Parliament rose and applauded. Some were crying, others were smiling, but all of them felt something special. They felt pride in what their species had become. Far away, in a dark corner of space, Warlord faced his masters. The Dominion High Command was not pleased. They had expected to crush the once and for all. Instead, he had retreated before a smaller force. He had made the Dominion look weak. "You failed," said the Supreme Leader, a creature so old and terrible that even feared him. "One human ship delayed you for 7 hours. Then a human fleet appeared and you ran away." "They had 32 warships," argued. "I had 40. We could have one, but the losses would have been severe, and the entire galaxy was watching. I made a tactical decision." "You made a coward's decision." The Supreme Leader leaned forward. "Do you know what is happening now? 6 species have contacted us privately to say they are rethinking their relationship with the Dominion. 4 more have requested meetings with the human government. Our enemies smell weakness. All because of one ship and one species of refugees we should have destroyed centuries ago. Felt cold fear. Then let us attack Earth. Let us show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. No, a direct war would be costly. Humanity is young and small, but they are not afraid to fight, and after today, others might join them. The Supreme Leader's eyes glowed with dark anger. You have created a problem that cannot be solved with weapons. Humanity has become a symbol, and symbols are harder to kill than soldiers. Was executed the next morning. His failure could not be forgiven. But the damage was already done. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear of the Dominion began to whisper new questions. If humanity could stand against them, could others do the same? If one small ship could make the mighty Dominion retreat, what could a united alliance accomplish? They settled on new. They planted the first seeds of their new home in soil that was not their own but would become theirs. They built houses and schools and hospitals. They began to heal the wounds of 300 years of running. And they shared their knowledge freely just as they always had. Human doctors learned healing techniques. Human scientists studied medicine. Within a year, diseases that had killed thousands were being cured. Within 5 years, human had increased by decades. The gift of the flowed across humanity, and humanity never forgot why it had been given. On the rebuilt Defiance, Captain received a message from Earth. He had been promoted to Admiral. He was being given command of a new initiative called the Allied Refuge Fleet. Its mission was to find and protect displaced peoples throughout the galaxy. He read the message and then looked out at the stars. So much had changed because of one decision, because he had refused to abandon strangers who needed help. He thought about all the crew members who had died. He thought about the wounds that would never fully heal. He thought about what they had sacrificed. Then he thought about, and the millions of who now had a chance to live. He thought about the message humanity had sent to the galaxy. He thought about what it meant to stand for something. He decided it was worth it. All of it was worth it. 5 years had passed since the battle. The galaxy was not the same place it had been before. Walked through the purple forests of Haven and smiled. The trees were not the same as the ones from her, but they were beautiful in their own way. Silver flowers grew between their roots. Small creatures with bright wings flew from branch to branch. It was peaceful here. It was home. She was 13 now, no longer the frightened little girl who had shown her crystal to a human soldier. She had grown tall and strong. She attended a school where human children learned together. She had friends who came from 2 different species but shared the same hopes and dreams. And she was going to be a doctor. This had been her choice since the day she watched Dr. Minu and Elder work together to save wounded crew members on the Defiance. She had seen how healing could bring people together. She had understood that this was her calling. Now she studied both medicine and human science. She learned the old ways of her ancestors and the new techniques of her adopted world. One day, she would use this knowledge to help others, just as others had helped her people. Sergeant waited for her at the edge of the forest. The Marine had retired from active duty after the battle. She had lost her left arm fighting off Dominion borders, and though they had given her a new one grown from her own cells, she had decided that her fighting days were over. Now she lived on new. She had become guardian after Elder passed away 2 years ago. It was a strange family they made, a human soldier and an alien girl, but it worked. Love did not care about species. Love only cared about hearts. "How was school?" asked as approached. "Good. We learned about the immune system today, both human and versions. It is amazing how different they are, but also how similar." Smiled. She did not understand most of what studied, but she was proud anyway. This girl who had never known a home now had a future full of possibility. That was worth everything. They walked together toward the small house they shared. Along the way, they passed other families going about their daily lives. Children played in the streets. Adults worked in gardens and shops. Elders sat in the sunlight and told stories of the old world to anyone who would listen. It was not perfect. Nothing ever was. Some still carried deep wounds from their centuries of suffering. Some humans were not sure about having aliens as neighbors. There were arguments and misunderstandings and difficult days. But there was also peace. There was safety. There was the simple joy of waking up each morning without fear. That was more than they had known for 300 years. In orbit above Nu, the UENS Defiance II patrolled the stars. The original ship had been too damaged to save, but humanity had built a new one in its honor. Bigger, stronger, and faster, a symbol of what courage could accomplish. Admiral stood on its bridge and looked at the world below. He was older now, with gray in his hair and lines on his face, but his eyes were still sharp, and his heart was still strong. Lieutenant Sara stood beside him. She had been promoted too, to executive officer of the new Defiance. She was still the best tactician in the fleet, still the person in any crisis. "Reports from the coalition are coming in," she said. "The new members are settling in well. Trade agreements are being signed. Military cooperation is expanding." Nodded, the coalition of free worlds had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as humanity standing alone had become an alliance of 7 species. They shared one simple principle: no one gets left behind. The Dominion was still powerful, but they were no longer the only force in the galaxy. Other species had found their courage. Other species had remembered what it meant to stand for something. "Any word from the Dominion border?" asked. "Quiet for now, but our scouts report movement. They are building up forces near the outer systems." "Let them build. We will be ready if they come." It was not empty confidence. The coalition had grown strong. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 6 other species. Human soldiers trained with alien warriors. Human scientists worked with alien researchers to develop new technologies. The galaxy was changing. Slowly, year by year, the old fear was giving way to new hope. On Earth, Ambassador had become something of a legend. Her speech to the Galactic Council was studied in schools. Her words had inspired millions. She had shown that one voice, speaking truth to power, could shake the foundations of an empire. She was retired now, living in a small house by the sea, but she still received letters from across the galaxy. Species she had never met wrote to thank her for giving them courage. Young diplomats asked for her advice. Children drew pictures of her standing before the council, small but fierce. She kept every letter. They reminded her why she had spent her life fighting for what was right. One morning, something unexpected happened. A ship appeared at the edge of human space. It was a Dominion vessel, but it was not attacking. It was sending out a distress signal. Admiral received the report on the Defiance II. He studied the sensor data carefully. The ship was damaged and alone. It carried no weapons that could threaten them. "What do you want to do, Admiral?" Sora asked. Thought about everything that had happened. He thought about the abandoned by the galaxy until humanity chose to stand. He thought about what that choice had cost. He thought about what it had built. "Open a channel," he said. The screen filled with faces that looked like Dominion soldiers, hard and afraid. One of them stepped forward to speak. "We are refugees," he said. "We spoke against the High Command. We said the war against humanity was wrong. We said there had to be a better way. For this, we were condemned to death. We escaped, but we have nowhere to go. No one will take us. We know humanity has no reason to help us. We were your enemies, but we are asking anyway, please. We do not want to die." There was silence on the bridge. Everyone was looking waiting to see what he would decide. The one who existed before the battle, might have hesitated. The galaxy was complicated. Politics were dangerous. These people had been enemies just years ago. But that was gone. In his place stood a man who had learned something important. He had learned that doing the right thing was more important than doing the safe thing. He had learned that hope could grow in the darkest places, but only if someone had the courage to plant the first seed. He smiled. "Escort them in," he ordered. "Contact New. Tell them to prepare housing for our new guests." Sora looked at him with surprise. "Admiral, they are Dominion." They were Dominion. Now they are people who need help. He turned to face his crew. "That is what we do. That is who we are. We do not abandon anyone." The Defiance II moved forward to meet the refugee ship. Across the galaxy, other species watched and listened. Once again, humanity was teaching them something. Once again, the universe was learning what it meant to stand for something. Anu heard the news that evening. Dominion refugees were coming to live among them. Some were upset. The Dominion had hunted their people for centuries. How could they share their world with those monsters? Understood their anger. She felt it herself sometimes. But she also remembered what had told her years ago. Humans are strange like that. Maybe strange was not the right word. Maybe the word was something else, something better. She walked outside and looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Admiral was bringing former enemies to safety. Somewhere up there, the coalition was growing stronger. Somewhere up there, the future was being built one choice at a time. Her people had been forgotten for 300 years. They had been abandoned by everyone. They had lost almost everything. Then humanity came. One ship, one captain, one crew that refused to look away. And everything changed. Took out the crystal that held the recording of her lost. She watched the purple forests and silver oceans one more time. She thought about all the who had died, never knowing what safety felt like. Then she thought about all the children who would grow up on New. Children who would know peace. Children who would have futures. Children who would never be forgotten again. She put the crystal away and went inside. Tomorrow she would study medicine. Tomorrow she would learn how to heal. Tomorrow she would become the person she was meant to be. And all across the galaxy, others would do the same, because humanity had reminded them of something important, something they had forgotten in their centuries of fear and silence. No one has to stand alone. Not anymore. Not ever again.